All right. LOLz is back today for a regular edition. Bric and myself, we got a variety of topics to hit on, including the state of Wyoming calling some sports bettors cheaters. We'll dig into that bizarre story. We'll also touch on some of the RTA fallout from the last episode we did, and say goodbye to an awesome person in the DFS industry. All today on LOLz. I'm Pete with Bric. Let's do it.
Does he think? I think he thinks this. He thinks this is a go. Vegas Dave thinks this is a go.
Hot naked girls doing yoga.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to dupe us. Please don't dupe us.
I was saying right before the show, it feels like an eternity since we last did a regular show, because we did the Monday one with Adam and Taylor. And then I literally don't even remember what we did on the show before that. That's how long it's felt.
Yeah. I mean, doing Thursdays for so long, it's so weird.
Well, I feel like you did the take cast, and you kind of continued some of the conversation with Davis. You guys had your in-game syndicate roundtable the other day. I listened to that. You guys touched on that a little bit. So you've had some more time to digest what ended up being a massive shitstorm as far as LOLz is concerned.
Yeah, I did a solo stream too. Because
I didn't get to watch that.
What's that?
I didn't get a chance to watch that one.
Yeah. It's tough when we're doing a show, with 3 other people or whatever, to like get everyone's thoughts and respond to stuff in chat and stuff. So I was like, let me pop on here. It didn't really do anything, but
yeah. And one of the things I was thinking about, one of the main criticisms was that we weren't providing a voice to the alternate takes, on that side. And I am sympathetic to that. The other thing, like, to be completely honest with people, we mentioned this. I mean, Adam messaged me the night before and said, "Do you guys want to spin up an emergency show?" I had a 4-hour streaming block before, and Brian and I said, "Sure, why not?" Like, if our friends who want to come on the industry and want to talk about a hot topic a lot of people care about, LOLz will always be welcoming to that. But this was not a show that Brian and I were putting together for weeks, going around, hand-picking guests for a panel. We provided the airwaves for those guys to come on. So that's what the show was. And a lot of people did not like that. But for it to be anything more than just letting some people come on to discuss, I think is kind of was missing the point there a bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean that's a good point. Yeah, they're like, where is the where's the government investigation you guys are supposed to provide? I said this before. I'll say it again too. But like, bias is not saying somebody's biased is not an argument. And I mean, like, like if the example I give is like if your favorite number is 4, you wore 4 in soccer or whatever sport you played, and then you go 2 + 2 = 4, and the other person goes, "Well, of course you would say that. You're biased. Right. You love the number 4, Pete." And either way, it doesn't work either way, whether you're biased for it or against it. It's not a refutation of what we said. I noticed that was happening a lot, and also the just like we would say, like, we think this thing is we think X is bad, and then someone would go, "Why don't they talk about X being bad?" It's like we said that multiple times on different shows, that like if we could choose a world the way we want it, it would be this way. We agree with you, but that's not the world we live in. Like, yeah, but you didn't say X was bad. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Some people you can't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, wouldn't you say? I mean, there's probably 6 different conversations or levels to that conversation happening. Yeah. Like you were saying, like talking like completely ideological or philosophically about that, talking, pragmatically, like, or talking about the reality of where we're at now, what can't be unwound, what could potentially change, like, what are the actual, positive things that could come out from a conversation. There was like 9 different conversations happening in a way that was going to always make it unproductive, ultimately.
Yeah. Super like a lot of these topics are like even limiting. We're going to talk about that later on, and problem gambling and stuff like that. It's like there's like a lot going on. It's it's easy to just reduce some of this stuff and then argue against the straw man, which felt like it was happening. I think I know I've listened to like some other podcasts talk about it and stuff, people we don't know and other people we know who we respect and stuff. And I don't know. I think the points we were making, a lot of people we like, they agree with. So
yeah, well, I think I told you, that podcast in sports betting, the Risk Takers podcast. I think we've mentioned it on here. And there's two guys. One of it started out as a solo pod, and now he has a co-host, Sports Projections, who we've I think referenced a couple times over the years. He had built up some early DFS tools. Obviously does a lot with sports betting. And it was funny because the week right after our show, Sports Projections wasn't on. He was actually traveling, I think, on a DK trip, I heard him say on there. And the main host like went off on the RTA stuff. And I was listening, and it was clear how little he knew about best ball and what the tool actually did. He just heard the RTA, and because he had a poker background, he immediately kind of extrapolated and made assumptions. And then Sports Projections came on this past week and explained to him way more of the nuance of the situation, how these tools work, etc. And then they had a much more normal conversation, and it was a more nuanced conversation about why this is difficult, where do they go from here. And I thought that was really illustrative of this whole thing of people come in super hot with these predisposed opinions on things, and whether it's word choices or whatever. And then when you actually step back and you realize it is a really nuanced conversation with a lot of different things at play. So it just reminded me of like the intensity of those first, shots across the bow. And it's like, wait, let's pull back and actually, discuss the nuance here, because it is.
I listened to that second one where they're both were on. I didn't hear the first one.
Yeah.
And they I would say they basically agreed with us like 99% of what we said by the end of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we would really have a point of disagreement. So it's so hard on any of these topics that require nuance when it's like a bad faith discussion. It's just like there's really just no point a lot of the time. Like even in our own Discord was kind of like for a brief time. It's like, okay, like there's no point in engaging here.
No, that one lost the point of engaging.
And I think we touched on this, but I think it was really, this is a simplified version, but I think Adam and like Evan and Silva's like fan base is kind of the opposite. I don't know if there's an opposite in this world, but the opposite of like Nerdy Tenor and mine, kind of like it's more
opposite end of the fantasy spectrum for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. They're scouting, tape, get your hands dirty, Silva kind of bros. And Adam's kind of like that too. And those are the people I'm sure a lot of the people who follow them are like that. Never heard of us. Thinks, Sims is, nerd shit. Spreadsheet socialist type of stuff. And when they see solver in the title, this we definitely mentioned, they go, oh, it's the real-time assistant stuff. You're betraying us kind of thing. I think the fan base, specifically with those two guys.
Yeah.
And just law of averages, because they have so many followers that it's going to be a larger portion than you would expect, who maybe felt like betrayed or misled or something. Like they should have done, telling somebody else how to run their business, but that's what we do on the show. They should have had like Leone roll it out. It's way more up his alley, his fan base.
Put it on the nerds to
put it on the nerds.
Yeah.
Definitely whatever, put solver at the end or colon or something in there where that solver is really small, whatever. Have Leone soft roll it out. And then maybe after 6 months or so, you got Levitan in there.
Maybe though, because one of the things that Levitan said on that show was he was basically begging people to stop ripping into Herzig, who would be the nerd shield that you would use for something like that. So I don't know. A nerd might have been catching heat there no matter what. But yeah, probably would have worked out a little bit better.
Yeah. They were probably screwed either way. I mean, and then the other option is, just to not do it.
Yeah,
but it's too late now. The cat's out of the bag. But like, I think they could have rolled it out with Leone, and then maybe a retweet a couple months from now from Levitan, like, oh, looks like the nerds are up to something else, whatever. Yeah. And I don't think it would have been as bad, but maybe you're right. Maybe there's just no winning.
And one thing, like, obviously it was the day after our show, Underdog released their statement. I think it was like Tuesday afternoon. We recorded on Monday, where they clarified what is allowed, what isn't. Obviously, the sites, yourself, the people who had been building these tools were well aware of this, because you weren't going to invest all this time and money in developing tools that were not allowed. But for the people who felt that there was ambiguity, like then it was out there laid to bear, I felt like that helped diffuse or at least reset the conversation a little bit of like, oh, well, what is allowed? Okay, it's like, all right, at least that part's cleared up. Now there could be potentially the second level of the conversation. And the more I've thought about it, to me, like hearing unbiased people say, like the risk takers guys talking about it, to me, like the next part of the conversation is like what goes into monitoring these tools where it could potentially cross that line, where it seeps beyond, suggestions to blurring that line of like making a definitive choice for you. And I think that's where the next level is. And now I think there's going to be a lot of people who are closely watching these tools, right? And will, feel pretty emboldened to speak up if they feel like that is being crossed.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I felt like the clarification, and you kind of already said this, we knew that clarification. People who've been paying attention to this for the last 3 years, they've already said that. So like, but it was nice to get it written out again. I'd like to see this suggestion we put on the show, like eventually an app only tournaments or something. Like if you're really that concerned, join the app only tournament or the under $5. I don't know. Like after someone plays 500 GPPs, they're not allowed to be in this specific type of GPP or something like that.
Yeah.
And then but like, as long as there's no automation, which, what did they say? No scripts, automation. There you go.
Yeah.
As long as you can't do that, it's not poker. It's not chess. There's not a set amount of spades and cards in the deck where you can actually solve it eventually.
Yeah.
As long as you don't allow automation, I don't really see them doing much, unless someone's gonna come out with something so advanced that you still have to sit there for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And draft the team.
What did you think? Again, not to keep referencing their podcast, but I just liked hearing outside perspectives who like were understanding of this, but not completely within this world. What did you think about their thought? And we kind of touched on it in the show too, about like Underdog actually adopting some of these tools and providing them for everyone in app. Like you go in and you have, the overlays, you see the matchups, or like all of these different things that these tools do if Underdog provided it. Or what if Underdog did have a sophisticated suggestion tool? Do you think people would be as upset if it was democratized like for everybody, or would it just be like, holy cow, now you're really, putting this on a silver platter for everyone to have an edge essentially?
Yeah. Like again, now we got to talk about nuance, right? Because like, who does that help? Who does that hurt? Does that kill the game more than just allowing when you provide the barrier of entry of $30 or something? Does that make it where the games are still juicy to play? It raises the floor. Like, if you make like, let's just say they bought one of our tools, just for example, and then made that the default in the settings on Underdog. Because it was sports projections you're talking about. He's like, I would actually play. He's like, I would throw 150 in for the sweat. I wouldn't expect to have an edge, but at least I'm
He's
not
like you.
That was
Like
that was my entire argument.
That was why you created the initial draft caddy, is because you're like, yeah, these guys are having a lot of fun playing best ball. How could it be fun for me, potentially?
Exactly. Like I want to play with them too, but I don't want to sit here for 150 hours or whatever. And but I want to be a huge donkey. And also the reason these tools are available, at least from like our side, like the nerdy 10 or mine, is we're not gonna get high volume on best ball. So like I don't care if you have it too. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So like that's why they're there. So like if you provided that on Underdog, I think that just makes the games worse than doing the $30.
Oh, for sure.
Area
Yeah.
to
I mean,
entry.
if you provided that for everybody, definitely. Yeah. But I don't know, man. It was I think the last comment that I read when I knew like I had to eject, it wasn't even like a mean it was someone said, "That's it. I'm going to play at DraftKings now." And I was dying laughing because on the show I asked you, Brian, I said, your auto draft tool that was immediately banned on Underdog, you could use to auto draft on DraftKings.
DraftKings cares less.
They care less. And I was like, okay, this is when no one is listening. No one is listening. If how you're going to solve this issue with Underdog allowing suggestions is to go somewhere where you can full on auto draft with a bot. I was like, okay, I have to eject from this discourse.
That was good timing. Another thing they said on that podcast, which is another nuanced point, is about the liquidity of peer-to-peer games in general. If you don't have the so like back in the early days, I'm a fossil here. Like early days of online poker, you could get paid to play. Like they were because they had these at the casinos too, and I cannot remember what it's called, but there's a term for a guy who's getting paid, like back then it was like $8 an hour or something, to just sit down and keep the poker games going. So hopefully I wonder if someone in chat can.
Oh, I think I know this. It's not Cooler. That's something else. But
no, Cooler's just like someone who's
I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
Oh my God. But anyways, the name's irrelevant. It is someone paid to keep the games going. And they had these at casinos and stuff like that. And you weren't supposed to tell anyone if you were that person because people didn't understand it, just much like a lot of this discussion. People don't understand, like, oh, you're getting paid, you're a casino employee, then you're probably cheating. But it's because it's hard to get the games going and keep the liquidity where then you get regular people coming. And then the person with the theoretical edge actually has a chance of winning and beating the rake.
And so like why parties hire random girls to come to their party. So it looks like it's more festive and less of a sausage fest than it actually is.
Yeah. Clubs do this, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like providing a tool that increases liquidity is very important for sites, for profitable players.
Yeah.
And it's different than the solved chess app that one could use to beat Magnus Carlsen or whatever his name is. These are very different things along the spectrum of tools that help you. But I am leaning into it, Pete. I am. I've already changed the column headers to real-time assistance
in the draft caddy.
The amount of engagement ETR got in, like we need that over here. Run the Sims.
They're saying that prop players.
Yeah, was it a prop player? That's what I thought, and I'm like, maybe that's not it.
Yeah,
Agnes Marlson. Thank you, Ashton, for correcting me. So I'm leaning into and our next tool, I'm gonna put like CheatyBot 5000 in the title.
You want the I've heard you say you want the controversy on the next feature you guys release.
Yes, I want that Adam Levitan hate directed my way. I want the 10,000 views on a tool release. Are you kidding me? Like nobody gets that.
We should get the I wish Sidekick and Solver should be required to release how many subs they added after that controversy. there.
Yeah, and I did call for the ban, by the way, of the sidekick.
Yes.
And ETR's tool and the complete
Should we
all ETR's assets.
Should we do it like put it up to a vote like the NFL did the Tush push? We just got to get 75% of the votes. You get 32 best ball thought leaders from the space who will have our own version of an owners meeting, and we will ban or propose on just banning exclusively the solvers tool.
Yeah, as long as I get to pick and choose who's on the who gets a vote.
I was actually surprised on that, like with the Tush push ban, just to do a slight thing where I would have thought like the Eagles are obviously by far the best team in the league at doing it. They have the perfect offensive line, the perfect quarterback for doing it. I thought it would be 31-1. Like everyone would be like, if you're going to give us the opportunity to cripple one of our opponents in this thing that we don't even do that much or we don't even do that well, how were there 10 organizations like, I mean, I kind of respect it. They're like, yeah, let them do it. It's football or whatever. But competitively, shouldn't everyone have voted? Yeah, get rid of this thing that only one team does well.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm surprised like they didn't do it like the forward pass back in the day. Like, no, that's got to be banned. We don't know how to do that. That's too hard. What did you think though? Like generally, did you want it gone?
So I will say, like, just as someone who watches football on Sunday, like anytime I see the Tush push lined up, I kind of just like groan. Like I'd rather watch something else, but I don't like lose sleep over it. I'm not like mad about it. But yeah, like sure, if I could snap my fingers or be on the side, be like, yeah, get rid of it. Like run a cooler play, basically.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the Eagles now should just like ramp it up, like any sort of cheesiness they could do. Because you utilize it until Hurts gets like, if you think Hurts is like just for some reason really good at this, which I think I've seen that kind of chatter online, because he's gonna retire or get hurt eventually. So just utilize it now to death, and then eventually, and when the vote comes around and he's about ready to retire or you don't want to renew him, then you vote ban it, even as the Eagles. So you use it all.
that's there you go. I mean, here are the teams. So obviously the Eagles were against it. The Ravens, Lamar. Browns don't have a quarterback. Lions, Jared Goff. I've never seen do the Tush push. Jags, Trevor Lawrence. Dolphins, Tua. They like that is like a concussion hazard there. Patriots, maybe they're interested in doing it with Drake May. Saints don't have a quarterback. I guess Jets have Justin Fields. Titans have Cam Ward. I mean, there's a few teams in here. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's no reason the Dolphins should be voting for this to exist.
Tua's doctors like shaking his head. Like,
yeah, it's like, no, fucking ban any contact on the quarterback. Please. We're begging you.
Oh, that is too funny. They're like, no. Throw that body in there.
Yeah, and the other thing, like the Lions are a surprising one. Like this is the Lions and the Eagles are arguably the two best teams in the NFC. Like you're likely to be on a collision course to play in the playoffs at some time. Like, would you not want one of your biggest opponents to getting to the Super Bowl to not be able to run one of their high leverage plays?
Yeah, you'd think. No, I mean, your first point is totally accurate. Like, why would 31 teams not just say, yeah, we don't do this. Let's get rid of it. I see the Patriots, and I just thought there's like an opportunity for Schefter to do the funniest thing with a football, and the last one is in Jordan Hudson.
It's kind of unfortunate that this isn't all. I mean, the whole reason this is happening is because Bill Belichick is like no longer an NFL coach, but it would be incredible if he was still coaching the Patriots and just like, Jordan Hudson just drafted Kyle Williams, in round 3. Like just every single move attributed to Jordan Hudson would be incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's rumored Jordan didn't like the pick, the 5th round pick. Jokes.
And this is, I agree with McCaffrey here in the chat saying it's a quid pro quo between owners who are buddies, and it's I'm sure there's kind of lobbying going on among them, and it's like, hey, I'll be as part of your voter block next time I need something to get through, you be a part of my voter block. I'm sure that kind of cronyism is happening there. It's really the only reason it would make sense, because from a strict football sense it doesn't.
That's smart, especially if you are unlikely to play the Eagles. And you could get a little quid pro quo. You vote for my thing, I vote for your thing.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well, that's why, like the AFC teams, it's like, all right, if you're so lucky to make it to the Super Bowl against them, you'll live with that situation. But the NFC teams, especially a good one like the Lions, that one stands out. You got anything else?
Shadur Sanders might not be too happy about this Browns vote as they sub him in 4th and 1 situations to sacrifice his body.
They run that play. Remember that one? It was like the Colts. There's that infamous screenshot where they just had the single offensive lineman, the center, hiking it to the quarterback, and no other.
The worst play in history.
And it's just the Patriots defense, just like ready to light this guy up.
The Shadur Sanders play.
The Browns invent. You know what they should do? They should actually do that for Deshaun Watson, like one final send off. Like, Deshaun, you go out there without a center to run the tush push.
Just immediately cut him.
Just pancaked. All right. So this is the titular story here from the episode. This popped up on Twitter last week. Wyoming opens and shuts its investigation on limited bettors, citing 3 examples of quote unquote cheating by limiting bettors and inferring there are several more. They even throw shade at Spanky and the account Bettor's Voice in here. And then this account says, guessing the agent did not consult with them about what sportsbooks told them. Did you see this story, Brian? And do you have any thoughts about the Wyoming Gaming Commission's ruling here?
Oh, I thought it was a great ruling. I just would like to announce I have a sponsorship with DraftKings and FanDuel starting today. This was pretty bad. I saw the maybe I won't tell that story. I was looking at some of the commissioners across the country, let's say, and it's like clear this person has no idea anything about gambling, much less like the nuances of sports betting and getting limited. Not Wyoming specific, a different state, but I'm sure Wyoming's no different. Like the amount of people qualified for these positions is pretty small, right? That know this much about gambling. And then the fact that I have some institutional knowledge of how these people get picked. Speaking of quid pro quo, you pick people who are politically aligned with. It depends on how your bill's set up, but usually it's like the leaders each get like one person to pick. So like the Senate president, the House speaker gets one, the governor gets one, and then like the treasurer might get one. It depends on the law or something. Gets the pick it, and so they pick people who are politically aligned with them. So like that small pool gets even smaller, and like the odds that they're going to know anything about these issues is like super, like 0.001%.
Right, and like they, it's you have these state regulators, and they're receiving information directly from the casino. Like it's always going to get spin zoned in the casino's favor, right? Like you can listen to their examples. Most of the reasoning for limiting a patron revolve around the patron cheating in some manner. And it's interesting that they put cheating in quotes here as if they know that's not the proper word choice necessarily for what's going on. They say cheating by placing prop bets while at a live event ahead of the televised feed, beating the sportsbook ability to remove the bet once the prop has been completed. How in God's name is that cheating? How is that not a technological failure of the sports betting sites, whatever system for approving bets?
You could I can almost see the way this has been, like this report's put together. It was like curated by the lobbyists. So what do you think about this? Well, what else should we say? Like, what are your jobs? And the main job is like of a lobbyist is to give the legislator a quick one-line slogan they could use. And so, like, they're cheating. That's why they're limited. It's like, okay, got it. And then your normal person who doesn't know anything about this just goes like, oh, people are cheating. Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's gambling. There's cheaters. Okay, that makes sense. And then it's over. Even though it makes no sense to anyone who knows a little bit about the industry.
So then the other examples that they list after that one, which is an absurd one to lead with, all of these are absurd.
There's one that's really bad. Go ahead.
Cheating by grouping up with other bettors to manipulate a line at one sportsbook in order to change the line at another. They're now saying that they are victims of just like classic market dynamics in there, that what sportsbooks do at another sportsbook is somehow cheating on theirs, which is also seems like a wild use of the word cheating.
The one, I mean, you already said it, so I'll go back to it before we go on, though, was the live event.
Yeah.
So the accusation there is you're at, the Lakers game, and you see the free throw go in, and that free throw made before the sports book could do it. So this is Wyoming. Okay, so they don't have any
professional sports fans. Brian, I have made a killing live rodeo betting in Wyoming. You have no fucking idea.
Yeah, like who, like so, like you fly to Wyoming, you place your big $50, bet, then you fly to some other state's live sporting event, or you get your like money in the account and then fly to a different sporting event. Would your app even work in Seattle? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it would. I don't think it would. I don't think you can even bet even if you have money in the account.
Well, and don't the good sports books, because what I've seen is a lot of times, right, when you make a bet, it will go into a quick, especially if you're live betting a game, it will go into a quick holding pattern where it's saying like waiting to approve. Like it won't instant process because they have, measures in place to prevent this from happening. Yeah. Where they're essentially saying the price you got it at is not reflective of what the like real time thing was at. So to me, this is like a technological failure of the sports books if they don't have a way to bake in the delay into their pricing in the first place.
You're saying even if they had, so like Anthony says, it's courtside is against terms of services. Yeah, we're not arguing that shouldn't, fine, have that as your terms of services. There's no court in Wyoming. There's no court. There's no basketball court, professional basketball court in Wyoming. This is just an argument that they're using in Massachusetts and everywhere else. Live betting makes a lot of sense in Massachusetts, and they're just using the same language everywhere. And these people are so fucking lazy that they don't go, hey, Bob, before we put the live betting, do you think anyone would be like, we don't have any professional sports here, so it'd be kind of hard to courtside? No, just leave it in. They want it in. Let's just leave it in.
So the last one they cite is a more regularly heard one, cheating by creating multiple accounts to take advantage of special incentives. But then this is my favorite line after that. There are several more examples. It's like, you got a fucking Word document. You can write as much as you want, brother. I've seen documents far longer than this one. And you've got plenty more examples of the cheating, but no time to write them up.
Yes. Yeah, they're just getting these cheaters. And yeah, there's Wyoming, like University of Wyoming games in theory. But what percentage, let's say University of Wyoming there is actually people doing that. What percentage of these cheaters are courtside live bet cheating at the University of Wyoming games that they've caught and banned? What percentage?
And it's also like, again, I'm not deep in the weeds of sports betting, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but generally, like, really, like, to your point, like the stuff that you can live bet in real time is like one of the major sports, right? Like they're offering lines for NBA, maybe MLB, obviously play-to-play NFL, but like you're not sitting courtside at a Wyoming basketball game and the book is offering real-time updating.
It would have to be Wyoming's biggest game of the year on the Thursday night football game or something.
Yeah,
on ESPN. Yeah, it's zero. We know you're being sarcastic, Mike, but like it's zero. They're just copy pasting language from the other states, and no one bothered to go. Do they have live betting on professional sports in Wyoming? No one even bothered.
Yeah.
To think this through.
And all of this paragraph comes before actually talking about the limited bettors. And it says, overall, the data showed that less than 1% of Wyoming sports bettors are limited at all. And most of those have very reasonable limits placed on them. It sounds like the end of a Donald Trump tweet. And very reasonable.
Some say the most reasonable.
The most reasonable. Of that, less than 1% of total limited bettors, less than 10% of those were limited because they exploited the sports book's errors. To date, staff has not received any complaints from Wyoming residents about being limited by a sports book. Given all the data we've collected, staff does not see a problem in Wyoming with the limiting of sports wagering. Wild.
Yeah. What a finding. I mean, it's a small state. Was 600? How many people are in Wyoming? 600? I don't know. And then a smaller fraction of that probably gamble. A smaller fraction of that gamble online. I can't imagine they would get that many people limited.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I could imagine a few, but it can't be that many.
Yeah.
But they don't. I don't think they mention in here anything about people which is what FanDuel said in the Massachusetts testimony, if I'm right, is they said some players have more information than us, and some players have better models than us, and we don't want to lose money to those customers. We don't want to go out of business because of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, at least that was real testimony in Massachusetts. But like, I don't believe they even. I didn't go through the whole thing. I just read that article, but I don't think they mentioned that at all, which is the frustrating part that most people complain about, is that if you do actually win, they will limit you.
Yeah.
And I don't think they like even mention that, like that there are, like, even if there is none, did you ask them if that a practice? Why did you say this in Massachusetts then, FanDuel? If you said this in Massachusetts, is that what you're doing here in Wyoming? Yeah.
And doesn't this data, no matter how it's presented, feel like it is not actually representative of what's happening? Like, how many bettors do you think, even in the state of Wyoming, have been limited just because they're sharp bettors and they're like pounding an inefficient prop line or an illiquid market, and they like weren't playing the shell games you have to do to manage? They were just good sports bettors, right? Like that doesn't even fall under the blanket of the cheating described here. I would bet that's a good majority of bettors who get limited is just for being too good of a bettor.
Yeah. Yeah. Way more than the live betting guys.
Yeah. At the rodeo.
Wyoming.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The mislabeling was probably not mentioned. A lot of these commissions and committees and stuff, I'm telling you, I know for a fact, are just done to placate people.
I mean, for sure.
Usually what'll happen is like a local legislator will get someone in their office who they know, and they can't just hand wave away about some issue. And he's like, okay, I'll introduce this bill. I'm sorry. And then he talks to the leader introduces, like, okay, we got to introduce this dumb bill. We'll never call it. Then the person starts bugging, why isn't this bill getting called? And then they go, okay, we'll set up a committee to investigate this issue. And then what the findings say, then we'll use that to pass the bill. Like, okay, fine. That'll happen. Then it's like, takes 2 years to set up the committee. The committee's all bullshit. It's appointed by all the leaders. And then they come out with this garbage. And then it's like, look, I got the commission done, Pete. What do you want from me?
So as someone who understands kind of like how some of this sausage gets made, is there any like yang to this yin? Is there any other side of the coin where like an actual person who understands sports betting could like look at the data and actually say, no, this is actually what the real numbers are? Or is it just like both the casino and these legislators are in bed with each other? There's no way for like an unbiased or reasonable third party to actually analyze what's going on here.
Oh, I think somebody could do it.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's the will or the incentives or consequence structure set up for that for that to happen. I mean, this isn't a good sign. This is a real bad sign, I think.
That's what it feels like.
Because it's Wyoming. You can't even get in Wyoming. You can't even get them going like, my cousin was limited. I don't know, man. Maybe this is wrong. Yeah. So I think, I don't know what's going on. Massachusetts didn't seem like it was much better.
Yeah, I haven't heard many updates recently.
I mean, that's the home of DraftKings too.
Yeah.
So good luck. Good luck. Anything happening there. So I think it's possible, but this is a real bad sign of what's to come. You're not going to.
If this used, could there be a larger conspiracy here? Like, could something like this be used as like a trial balloon to set precedent in like other states?
Oh, 100%. It's not conspiracy at all. Like we would directly copy legislation from other states. Like that's what you do.
It just shortcuts the process.
Sure. Yeah. You go, what does this other state do? What was their results? This is super common. You would even see in legislation people screw up and they'd have old language from other states in their legislation.
They forgot to
they forgot to delete it.
Jeez.
Yeah. So like there definitely could be like, a constituent complains and then they go, hey, here's the gaming commission from Wyoming. They just did send this to the legislator to send to the person complaining. And he's like, what am I supposed to do? They did the commission here. Like, maybe we'll set one up too. But yeah, it's not
interesting. We found the exact same thing going on in Wyoming.
Yeah, well,
our data is the exact same.
Yeah, when Massachusetts fails, which it will, then it's like now we got all these commissions.
So actually, here's another question. So like this was done in response to ostensibly, right? So who even said to them, like, who were the limited bettors who were aggrieved, who are like, hey, this is bullshit. And then they're like, oh, we will pacify you with our own report to say it's not an actual issue. Like, who even got them to do this in the first place?
Who knows? You'd have to be there. You'd have to be there to know. It could be random. It could, sometimes it's the guy's son, some legislator, or it could be like their competition. Like maybe the casinos don't like them or something. They didn't get a good enough deal. It could be anywhere.
Yeah,
it could be anywhere. In this article, it says America Bettors Voice. The chairman is Spanky. I didn't know he was doing a little lobbying himself.
Yeah, here is reporting with comment from blah, 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 from American Bettors Voice. This highlights a use case for an independent org that sits between operators and players. The agent also said that no patrons have utilized the commission's complaint form limiting by any of the state's operators. The form can be found here, which is the most classic shoe fly. Go fill out the form and move on. Which is pretty funny, saying that no one has filled out this form.
What do you think about that? Just to like flip sides for a second.
Yeah.
On the sports betting side, I can't help but like, obviously, these guys are fucking us, but like, I still have this hesitation for just telling businesses how to operate. Because there's a lot of like ancillary businesses that spring up off the backs of companies. So like, like in video games or whatever, like Madden, there'll be like websites where people teach you how to play. There'll be like coin making sites and stuff. And there's also, this happens across the board, in industries. There's all these ants. And so if that company just decides to go under, you're fucked. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what like a professional sports bettor is. Sports books don't owe them anything.
Yep. The guy from the American Bettors Voice said, I find the use of the term cheating to be most curious. Am I then to assume that the operators identified these cheaters for the regulators and law enforcement, and we can anticipate arrests and legal actions? If an operator were to fail to report cheating to the regulators and law enforcement, it would seem to jeopardize their licensing. We cannot have operators covering up cheating instances, for it threatens the integrity of the industry. So him kind of really poking the nest there as far as, okay, you're going to call this cheating, then why aren't you actually treating it like cheating?
Right. Yeah. I was thinking that might be a solution here. They wouldn't want to hear this, but what if there was an agreement where they wouldn't limit bettors, or they would provide reasonable limits, whatever that is, for like $1,000 or something. It depends on the market, but they wouldn't limit people. But then they're allowed to prosecute harshly syndicates,
multi-accounting.
Yeah. So like if they caught Spanky paying someone to make a bet on their behalf or somebody, like he could face like 20 years in jail. I'm not saying this. I want that to happen. I'm just saying theoretically a negotiation, because I think their biggest fear is that. I don't think their big fear is ETR's props. And so I think I don't even think it. I think you're right, because like I don't even think it's like a big fear in general, right? It's just like they view it like death by 1,000 cuts. They're like, why would we let all these profitable sports bettors? Let's just like like literally like swatting flies. Let's swat this down. Like I don't even. They just view it as just a little game of cat and mouse, to keep their ecosystem with the least sharp players as possible, right? Yeah, just completely eliminate risk. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying like let's say they were forced to negotiate something.
Yeah.
What would be reasonable that they could possibly trade? So like another thing is like they could put on there, be required to put on there, we will limit winning bettors. But like no matter what the negotiation is, they're going to want something.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting too, where it's like, they do this limiting thing, and almost to this guy's point here, Richard, why don't they ban accounts? Why is it limiting the accounts? Like why it almost like reveals what a bullshit move it is. Like if they're actually cheating, like why are you letting them play? If you steal from a Walmart, they're not going to let you back in a Walmart like anymore. Like why are they allowing you to continue to bet? It like reveals that like, oh, you actually didn't do anything wrong. You're just too good at this. And we want to help our bottom line.
Yeah. The logical inferences from these things make no sense, because they didn't think any of this through at all.
What did you think? So Captain Jack had a tweet. I assume this was kind of piggybacking off of this story, because he said how you view the topic of limiting sharp bettors is similar to the topic of responsible gaming. He said it's a problem that affects a small percentage of bettors. Cynics say they brought this on themselves. Sympathizers say more protection should be in place, yet rarely is someone in the same camp on both issues. He says if you're for, and for is all caps here, responsible gaming, you should be for the protection of player rights. If you're against in all caps, fundamental fairness, you should be in favor of unfettered corporate profiteering. I'm not going to lie. I read this a few times and it kind of like put my brain in a pretzel trying to understand what was being said. But what did you think of this tweet?
Fundamental fairness, by the way, great little marketing propaganda that they should keep using if they keep doing the lobbying angle. It's just fundamental fairness, Senator. You're not for fundamental fairness. I thought the first thing where rarely is someone in the same camp. My first initial thought was like, isn't everyone in that camp?
Where
it's he's saying like the topic of limiting sharp bettors is similar to responsible gambling.
Yeah.
It's a problem that affects a small percentage of bettors. Cynics say they brought this on themselves. Sympathizers say many more protections should be in place. Yet rarely is someone in the same camp on both issues. You know what? It's kind of hard to parse this whole thing anyways. But my first thought was like, yeah, aren't like a lot of people in that camp? More protections. A lot of these people brought it on themselves, and it only affects a small percentage of bettors.
Right. And you brought up the similar thing of like when people talk about the responsible gaming, like, why aren't we talking about the other ways to protect bettors, including, getting limited or whatever? Like that idea of protecting bettors should extend to both of these types of things, even though one is way more beneficial to the casino than the other.
Sure. Yeah. Like lower vig. Like, doesn't that help all bettors, including problem bettors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he clarified a few things. And no, I'm not even opposed to betting limits. I'm opposed to advantage players being labeled as cheaters by operators. So clearly in conjunction to this Wyoming thing, and the regulators and the media buy into that nonsense and propagate the falsehood, but you have to start at the top of the funnel to draw the audience to it.
Yeah.
And people are kind of laughing in the chat about the term player rights, insinuating there is no such thing as player rights.
That's kind of what I was getting at, honestly. Like, it's their business. Like, they don't owe us anything. I think the only good, like, you don't need good arguments, honestly, in this. You just need power, political power, and get in there with lobbyists and stuff. But I think the only good argument is that they're so in bed with the state, with regulations and the amount of taxes they're charged, and that makes it different than your local hot dog stand. That if they're going to
use local hot dog stand after what's happening in San Diego these days.
Well, I missed it. What happened?
You ever heard this story?
No.
There's like a bunch of business owners are really upset because the city isn't enforcing like vendor laws, and they say that there's a lot of like illegal, quite literal hot dog vendors that are cutting into their bottom line by roaming the streets and selling hot dogs at, I assume, a fraction of the cost of a pub burger. And now all these things, and there's been like really big heated arguments about this in San Diego and online. I saw Smiz was in a big argument about it with someone on Twitter the other day. So I just laughed when you said hot dog.
I missed that. Okay. Yeah. Shovel companies. Sorry, shovels. How about that? There's a difference when they're super heavily regulated like this. That I think you can make the argument if you're enforcing, like if Pete can start his own shovel company, but he can't start his own casino. You can't start your own sports book. And even people we know who have plenty of money and the skill set to do it, you can't do it. It's too heavily regulated. And if you're doing that much, well, then the people of the state, in theory, like how this is supposed to work, should at least be able to go, well, if they're doing this much, why don't you protect us a little bit from their practices?
Yeah.
It's more like you guys have comment. It's more like the power companies.
Yeah.
With how much they're regulated. And like with these power companies, like there's plenty of rules on like how much they can charge on per kilowatt and stuff like that, and it ebbs and flows. And they're required to like fix certain stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still a private company. So like there's gradations of how private these companies are. And like sports books are pretty well embedded with the state. And so like I think that's the only strong argument for saying, hey, we can ask for these things because it's not a shovel company, it's actually embedded. So I think but like other than that, though, I would say that like, yeah, we really don't have rights with these. It's their private business.
Yeah.
And if they go under, it's not like the government should bring them back so we can continue to sports bet.
Yeah. And I think then what he's kind of getting is the responsible gaming thing, and we've talked about it too, right? Like casinos and legislators have like weaponized that in their own favor of making it seem like it's this altruistic thing where they truly care about the player, but there's also elements where it can help them to play this angle. And it's like almost kind of, I don't know the phrase, but like calling their bluff on it. It's like, oh, you care about the players, you care about this. Okay, let's talk about limiting sports bettors. Let's talk about reducing vig. Let's actually talk about all of the things that would be good for the player, not just this one thing that you can use as a carrot to, whatever, push through other agendas.
Sure. And they could use their resources as opposed to limiting people to limiting potential probable gamblers.
Yeah.
Like they could like, I mean, maybe that's kind of what he's getting at here. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this though, but like the problem gambling stuff, like they don't give a shit. Like it's not beneficial from this side of the argument to focus on responsible gambling or problem gamblers from a political perspective, like a bargaining chip, in my opinion. You could still care about it and acknowledge it and all that type of stuff, but look at this Wyoming commission. Like talking about problem gambling is not going to change any of this stuff.
No, it is crazy too, where if you start to like think through the implications of all these things. So it's like, okay, we have people that are cheating on our site. And then we also have people who are addicted to gambling, and we have to worry about protecting them. It's like, who is this perfect, normal, average customer where you don't go down the slippery slope of getting addicted to gambling, and you play just enough that you're not getting banned because you're not good, but you don't lose enough to where you just flame out and you stay on the site. It's like, who the fuck does this leave in the sports betting Venn diagram to exist in the ecosystem in perpetuity?
Yeah. It's like 8 in Wyoming. It's probably like 8 dudes. I mean, they're so, and a lot of this too is just like the build up to iGaming, right?
Yeah.
Like they just want to like keep enough guys around to then filter some of that money to iGaming. And if you're gonna allow iGaming or casinos in general too, like I don't see why you can't just require them to say, if you're a winning player, we're going to limit you. This is a casino. The sports book's a casino. The poker room's a casino if we have one. Whatever, because we're going to charge so much rake. Everything's a fucking casino. You can't win. And it doesn't matter. People will still go because that's what people think of casinos already anyways.
I know.
Like what percentage of people are going there going like, I have a big edge, that has, a reasonable IQ. It's not many, if any.
Yeah. It's almost too, it's like you think about being like pragmatic, knowing that their end game is iGaming. Like, wouldn't you be willing to lose the sports bettor limiting battle to win the war of iGaming? Like, let's just get everyone in the door, come get on our site. And guess what? You happen to be a winning bettor. You know what? We're going to give you some free slot spins while you're at it. Like, wouldn't you almost just want to use that as a marketing funnel anyways?
I would love to hear a smart person on the other side tell us why that's not right. Because to me, it just makes so much sense. And there's also different specific instances where it makes way more, which was the Barstool Penn casino had just a perfect opportunity to go out, pay a couple $1 million to hire a real bookmaker. Say you're going to take all the wagers, try for a couple of years or something, in conjunction with Dave Portnoy as your face, and then he can go out there, we're the only book that takes anyone's money. We have 10,000 minimum sides or maximum side or whatever, 100,000 maximum sides on this market that no one else has. Get a real bookmaker, maybe with some AI technology to move the line, spend some time, spend some money, give people the allure that you could make money at this, that you could become professional, and then use all that marketing to try to compete with the behemoths like DK and FanDuel. And none of them seem to want to do that except maybe Circa. And I bet things would have turned out, at least it had a better chance, obviously, in hindsight, because Ben failed. It would have turned out a lot better if they would have went that route with Portnoy. That mix would have been a pretty powerful marketing plan.
It's so funny you mentioned that with Portnoy, and we're talking about iGaming, because the other day I'm driving in Mass, and I see a giant Portnoy face attached to a lottery advertisement. And I just looked it up just to make sure what it was. But it was, Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports have partnered with Jackpot, a lottery app that allows users to order official state lottery tickets. Portnoy has promoted the partnership, encouraging fans to use the app and try their luck. Which it's so funny. It's like, I wonder if that's also a loophole because, right, wasn't part of their agreement when they got out of that deal. I guess they're with DraftKings now, so maybe that non-compete has ended. But I wonder, it's just like, oh no, now we just move on to promoting lottery and iGaming and this completely untapped vein or whatever.
Yeah, and I wasn't claiming he was like the
no, I know
of the moral middle or whatever. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's a shame they didn't go in that direction too, because like I think from like the casino's perspective too, when you get this pushback with, if you want to consider a commission like this pushback at all, they would have like a leg to stand on. Like, we're the one that doesn't limit anyone. These casinos limit winners. They're just straight out robbing people. Like, so when you do release your iGaming product, at least you go like, hey, but also we're the skill-based one. Remember, you can make a living here.
Oh, dude, this makes way more sense because I just pulled up the article. DraftKings acquired Jackpocket, so it's part of their larger deal because they already had the deal with DraftKings, and then DraftKings said, hey, we acquired this. Start promoting this as well. Interesting.
That guy makes some serious money, Dave Portnoy.
Oh yeah. Okay. One last thing here on a more sobering note. I'm sure any of you guys who are on social or are within the Ship It Nation community or obviously James's community heard that he passed away on May 18th, 2025. A few days ago, there was a post on his Twitter account. It just says from the editor. Not sure who this is, but they said, he passed. If you've been around the DFS world for any length of time, chances are you cross paths with James, with his sharp takes, contagious energy, or the genuine way he connected with people. Growing the DFS industry, including everyone, even the guy in the back, was his true passion. He was community-driven, unfiltered, and always real. A true one-on-one person. His worst fear was letting everyone down, and even during the worst days, he would grit and bear it to keep that promise to himself. I also want to include this message from his wife to all of you. Thank you to everyone that sent messages of encouragement to DGen during his ordeal. Your kind words, prayers, and good vibes meant more to him than anyone truly knew. My sincerest gratitude to all of you for making him feel loved and supported. And then it says, for now, we'd love to hear your stories, memories, and anything else you'd like to share in his honor. He meant so much to all of us, and we'll miss him dearly. Thank you, the editor. Very sad news. He had obviously been publicly battling this for a while. And, when I had talked to him and just hearing how he talked about it, he was just like, I just love fantasy sports. I love doing YouTube and I just want to keep living. Like, this is what I want to do. He didn't want a pity party. He didn't want, his life to, be some funeral march. He just wanted to keep doing what he loved. And pour one out for James. Really one of the good ones in the DFS space and a huge loss for everyone.
Yeah, he was young too. It's a bummer whenever someone dies young, right? And I did a show with him once. I looked up PDM.
Me too.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago at this point. It's like, oh my god. I was hoping like Tambo or somebody would do like a DGen 75 tribute pick every week. Like my DGen pick of the week or something, just to kind of keep the thing going on. It was crazy. I was actually thinking about him. So I looked up his posts like a couple hours before this was posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, he doesn't post much. I hope he's doing all right. And then I saw this like an hour later. I was like, oh man.
I know. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, he was, it slowed down, but he was still doing, he's doing streams back for the Masters. Obviously that was,
he did like one post each week, the last 3 weeks or so. And I was like, shoot.
It's heart wrenching there. And another guy too, who like built up his YouTube from scratch, built up a community of really loyal followers. And I know he's really excited to partner with Ship It and kind of expand what he was doing with them as well. And yeah, I think definitely one of those guys that reminds you of pursuing what you love to do and realizing that life is short and you got to spend your time maximizing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wish you could bottle like gratitude, and in the understanding of how short life is, and then pop it with your morning vitamins,
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's right. I should stop crying about everything.
I mean, and even look at this, like, I assume his body was breaking down and he was, holding on, there at the end, just kind of the way that these things go. And the fact that even on May 14th, he's firing out his PGA picks for the PGA Championship with this full meme, jib jab scene here. Like he went to the very end, having a blast with fantasy sports and golf, which is it's fun to see.
He also did like the full chemo stuff, and he didn't have to do that. Like he was doing it for his family. So
yeah,
props to him. He had a lot of stones the way he handled it. We said that when he announced, same thing. So such bummer.
I remember that when he announced it, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't think anyone can say how they would handle, certain situations like that. I think like in my heart of hearts, I think I would just disappear. Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be different, but for some reason, like part of me thinks I just like want to not continue doing this stuff. And I don't know, maybe I wouldn't, but I definitely think that the way he handled it, and kind of from a business as usual, I just want to keep having fun on the internet, was such a respectable way to approach that situation.
Yeah. I would probably cry a lot, like curl up in a little ball.
Yeah.
Say, why me?
And I know he maximized, like, I think he did, I want to say I saw some photos, like he went and did like a Ship It Nation meetup with those guys and got to meet a lot of people. I don't know like what was on his personal bucket list, but it seemed like he was doing what he loved, with what his remaining time was.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I can't imagine he wouldn't just bail if he wanted to bail. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just such a more. I don't think he had kids. Yeah, you can't really tell. He didn't say anything about it, so you don't really know.
Yeah, obviously his wife who commented in that, but yeah, I don't think he did either.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's everyone always kind of like jokes like, oh, when someone passes away, everyone just says like the nice things about it. But like James truly was one of those, whatever Switzerland guys of DFS, never gonna have a beef, obviously on Team Ship It Nation in the RPS by necessity there. But just one of those super positive guys.
No, I'm sorry. He had one beef. I want to say he had a beef in this last year, because he called somebody out. I think he called somebody out, and it was within this year, right? This
okay, all right, I stand corrected.
And I remember thinking, and I want to say it was like Levitan or somebody we know. Levitan's is catching all the strays, but like, I wonder if it's still up there. It wasn't bad, but I think he responded to somebody, and I was thinking, I wonder if this person knows that James has cancer. Because you can't like start a beef with a guy who's got cancer. And I don't think it went anywhere, so I'm assuming someone told him like, don't be mean to this guy. But like he did, it was like he was like trying to start a beef. It was just more funny than anything. Like
maybe that for him was like, this is how it, nothing's more normal and nothing more DFS than being upset about some random take in golf or whatever.
Yeah, I can't imagine that aspect of it, people treating you differently. Like that's gotta suck.
For sure. So yeah, just want to say shout out to DGen, and to be completely honest, I haven't been plugged in with if Ship It Nation has done any tributes or anything like that. But if there is, post it in the LOLz Discord. I'd like to see more. I'm sure I hope someone would like make or commission kind of a highlight video of his content over the years. I would personally love to watch something like that. So.
Yeah, that's nice. That would be nice. Yeah, and a little DGen 75 pick of the week would be fun from somebody. Yep.
But life is short, guys. And that's gonna be it for LOLz. Brian, I know some Draft Caddy updates. I got the matchups loaded in here now for my future drafts. Any other updates from you guys?
Your favorite update, of course, is the Davis Manic rankings around the Draft Caddy.
Yeah, right. That how many subs is that going to move?
What else do we got? Yeah, I think just fixing some of the stuff on there is just bugs and stuff. The combo data, ownership data should all be showing up. And then we're gonna make some automation improvements. Not automation. Automation's illegal.
Careful, Brian.
I let the cat out of the bag. Some suggestion improvements for next week, I think, is in the plan. I don't think we got anything else. We still got MLB projections over at Run the Sims if anyone needs some MLB projections.
Nice. I got ship chasing here in about 15 minutes. If you want to come hang out with me, Davis, and Karain. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you guys back on LOLz every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll also get the audio up, as always, in your LOLz podcast feeds. Until next time, I'm Pete for Bric. This has been LOLz.